You may want to level up, you might want to get better, but in most cases, you probably aren't ready to actually level up yet. So this is probably a situation that you're in right now where yeah, you want to start working out every day, you want to quit these addictions, you want to quit this, quit that. You want to get better, you want to make more money, but you're not willing to put in the work. You're not quite there yet. Maybe you feel really motivated about it. Maybe you're starting to get into self improvement content, but you're not actually taking the action, taking the steps. You know, you may want to start a business, but you may not be ready to start a business. And this is most people. I have a friend who really wants to quit smoking weed. He's been wanting to quit weed for a few years. And I told him, I said, dude, the only way you're actually going to quit weed is when you're actually ready. And I looked at him, he had a cart. He literally had a cart and he's sitting there hitting it right in front of me as he's talking about how he wants to quit. And I told him, I said, look, dude, you're not ready to quit. You want to quit, but you're not ready because he still had that cart. I said, if you were ready, you would have thrown that fucking cart away. You would have just taken it and thrown it in the trash, flushed it down the toilet. When you're ready, you will make drastic changes to actually accomplish that goal. You don't think about it, you don't want it, you actually just go and do it because you're tired of waiting around. And that's the difference between, dreaming about shit and fantasizing about shit and then realizing that you hit that day where you're like, okay, I'm fucking done waiting, I'm done dreaming. It's time for me to start going after this. When I wanted to get a better body, I started running. And that was the point when I was ready to get a better body. I had ran in the past, I had done physical stuff in the past, went to the gym kind of half assed, a few weeks here and there, but I was still stuck in my demons. I was still stuck, lazy, playing video games. I wasn't ready to give up the games. I wasn't ready to start making that sacrifice to actually go to the gym consistently and give up that time. I wanted that. I wanted a six pack. I wanted to look better. I wanted to feel better, but I wasn't going to give up all those other things that were holding me down. So, when you're on self improvement, you'll see a lot of people, it could take years. This journey can take years because you could set like a checklist like, okay, we're going to go to the gym, we're going to quit this, I'm going to quit eating bad food, I'm going to start that business, I'm going to start that YouTube channel, I'm going to stop chasing these women, I'm going to delete Tinder, blah, 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 fucking blah, right? What you'll come to find out is you'll set all this stuff up and then you'll find that a month or 2 months later down the road, you're still doing the same stuff. If you're in this situation where you're still doing those same things, that means you weren't ready. When you actually make that change, make that drastic change, it's because you probably went through something painful. Like a lot of people, they're not ready to quit drinking until they get a fucking DUI, until they wreck their car, until they end up in jail. Then they're ready to quit drinking. Then they decide, okay, it's time for me to change my life. Instead, most people will keep pushing the boundary further and further and further and just to see how far they can get away with it. And that's how we all are. We choose the path of least resistance. I when I wanted to quit smoking weed, it wasn't until okay, I'm going to tell you all a story. So, I smoked weed for years, every day. I used to be like a casual smoker in the past until I started smoking every day. It became a really bad addiction. It became like my favorite hobby, my way of de-stressing. You know, Once you get home, you just numb yourself out. It was so much easier to take a hit, take a drag, take a drink than to actually face the reality of life and how difficult that life was. Because for that split second, that was like an ease. It felt good. You're not worrying about bills. You're not worrying about how far behind you are in life. Well, as I started smoking more and more weed, I had to go to different methods to get high. And I started smoking like that synthetic weed, the like Delta 8 and shit. And it got to the point where I'm smoking this like Delta 10, fucking THCX, THCZ. If you smoke, like, if you're in a state where like weed is kind of like in a weird gray area, like you'll see these like THCZ, THCP, like all these fake ass fucking synthetic THC analogs that they put in these carts. Well, I started smoking. I remember there was a pre roll, a blunt. It was like THCX plus THCP plus Delta 8 plus this plus THCA. There was like fucking 10 different goddamn like THC things in there, like research chemicals. And I remember I started smoking like this stuff kind of regularly. And it got to the point where my face started twitching. My eyeball literally started twitching. I would talk and my face was locking up. And at night I would lay down and like I would feel my heart fucking skip a beat. Like I was having heart arrhythmias. And I remember I got in panic attacks. There was a bunch of panic attacks. There was a bunch of negatives happening. So for 3 years, it was getting like worse and worse and worse. And for like a year and a half of those 3 years, I really wanted to quit. But I didn't actually quit until like the effects started making like a drastic change in my life. Until I started noticing like weird side effects, until my health was starting to get affected, until I couldn't function. I could have quit so much earlier, but I was just fucking bullshitting myself. And that's what we do. You're just gonna bullshit yourself. You say, oh, I'm just gonna do it for a couple more weeks and then I'll quit. But no, you're just lying to yourself because you're not actually ready to quit. You could say, oh, I'm gonna hit the gym this year, 2025. My New Year's resolution, 2025, I'm gonna transform. I'm gonna stop eating the fast food. I'm gonna start going to the gym every day. I'm gonna start running every day. I'm gonna start boxing every day. And then you'll end up going for like a week or two. And then after that, oh, you're just gonna be stuck back on your old habits. All of a sudden, you're gonna be playing the video games again. You're gonna get off work. You're gonna say, oh, I'm not gonna go to the gym today. I'm too tired. And then that one day is gonna turn into 2 days and then 3 days. And then you're gonna say, oh, I haven't felt good. I can't go to the gym this week. I'll go next week. I'll start going again next month. And then guess what? You're gonna spend another year sitting on your ass, doing nothing, taking no action. Because you haven't gotten fed up enough with life. The key, if you want to break out of this trap, because it is a mental trap, you have a goal, you want to do it, but you're not actually ready to make that sacrifice, ready to commit. You have to become fed up with your current reality. You have to look around you and say, this is bullshit. This is the only way to actually start sacrificing, is when you reach that point where you're just fed up. You want to make more money, you have to get fed up with being broke. You have to say, it's like when you want to start a business. Everyone who wants to start a business has had a shitty job. And that shitty job has given them some sort of motivation to actually start that business, because you had a shit day at work. Maybe your boss talked down to you, and then you had that day where it was a terrible day at work and you barely got paid anything, and you're like, man, fuck this. I want to start a business so I can work for myself. I don't want to do this shit anymore. Let the pain fuel you. That pain, some people need pain, and you may need pain in order to push forward. So pain can be used as fuel. A lot of people do this. Someone gets bullied. They use that pain to get better at boxing. I know a lot of boxers that got bullied in school. That was their motivation. They got picked on. Someone beat them up. Someone messed with them. And they literally went and learned MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu. because they never wanted to go through with that pain again, that pain of getting pushed around. So that's how a lot of fighters end up. They get picked on, and there's a certain point where you can get picked on, get messed with until you say, this is fucking bullshit. I'm not letting this happen anymore. And that's going to be your motivation. That's their motivation. When they're in there sparring, boxing, they're thinking about that negative experience and how they never want that to happen again. That's like why I said with the business, you may want to start a business, you may want to be an entrepreneur, trade stocks, but you haven't had enough shitty days at work where you say, man, this is fucking nonsense. Like, I don't ever want to work for someone else again. I don't want anyone to have power over me. That's what you have to be like an entrepreneur, to be on self-improvement, to have that motivation to want those things. Because all that negative experience did something in your mind that gave you the motivation to push and the discipline to push forward, because you know the alternative. You can say, A, I could work my ass off, or B, I'm going to be stuck with someone else controlling me, someone else dictating my life, or A, I could work my ass off. I can do everything I can to attain this reality, versus you already know what happens when you stick to this reality. You already know what's going to happen. You're going to work like some dead-end job. You're going to work the next 40 years for someone else, making someone else rich, blah, blah, blah. It's like with fitness. A lot of people get fed up with being fat, overweight, looking like shit. They know the reality. They say, okay, this is reality A. I go to the gym every day. I get consistent. I put in the work. I put in the results. Even though the results aren't fast, I'm going to get the results nonetheless. Or B, this is reality B. Oh, I'm going to be eating like shitty food. I'm just going to get fatter. I'm just going to look worse. My health is going to continue to decline. That's when someone's ready. They've thought about it a million times, 100 times, and they finally said, you know what? I've already lived through this shit 1,000 times. I've relapsed 1,000 times. It's time for me to actually stay consistent. And consistency is key. And that's what you'll see with most of the people that fail. They're inconsistent. They do it half-assed, off and on. It's like my buddy I was talking about with the weed. He wanted to quit so bad. And I told him, I was like, yo, you want to quit so bad? Why don't you just throw that card away? And he told me, I'm just going to finish off this last cart and then I'm going to be done. Guess what? That was over 2 months ago and he's still smoking. I told him, dude, if you're ready to go, you would have just thrown that shit out. You would have said, all right, I'm just going to start now. But he wasn't ready. He still wanted to finish off that final cart. He still wanted to savor that last bit of marijuana. And that's how I knew that he wasn't actually fully 100% committed to making that change. If I saw he was like, oh, for the past 2 days, I haven't been smoking. I threw all my weed away. I've already made this decision. If I relapse, then I'm just going to get back on it. I'm just going to forgive myself and I'm going to throw that weed away again. That's how I would have known that he was more 100% committed to that change. But he wasn't. He was doing a half measure. There's no half measures. You either have to go 100% all in, or you're just going to stay stuck in that trap of quitting, relapsing, redoing the same thing over and over again. And the fucked up thing is that most of us know right from wrong. We know for a fact that if we want to make a change, all we have to do is do this thing. We already know what we have to do, but we're not actually committed to doing the steps. We can dream all day about fucking this and that, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to quit, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like fucking pumped up. But guess what? People that grind in silence, that know that they're doing it for themselves, they're not just saying it, they're not just boasting about it. Those are the people that make real progress. The people fighting against themselves every day. And that's the reality. You're sparring with the universe. And things are going to come up in your mission. Oh, you don't want to fap anymore? Well, guess what? There's going to be hot chicks that pop up on your social media. You're going to see chicks shaking their ass. It's going to make you want to open that porn website. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to have all sorts of things coming at you that are going to make you feel like, that you're going to give up or that you're going to like go back to your old ways. It's like sparring. You got to see that punch coming. You got to brace yourself for that punch. The universe is going to throw shit at you and try to derail you from your mission. But you have to take that hit and you have to counterattack and you have to hit back. So things are going to go wrong. You set a goal, you start on your mission, whatever your goal is, there's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be shitty days where stuff happens that's going to make you want to spark back up, light back up, take that drink. Your girl might break up with you. You might lose your job. You could lose a family member. You could lose a friend. You could lose a pet. Car troubles. There's a million things that can go wrong. But you can't let that stuff derail you from your goals. You have to keep going with the motions. Okay? So, you'll know whenever you're fed up, whenever you're done with all the bullshit, whenever you're ready to make a change in your life. You will reach that point where you cross the line and you give it your all. But you may have to go through some pain first. All right, fellas, if you need any advice on, how to do this shadow work, please let me know down in the comments. Please subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if y'all are facing something similar to this. Let me know what y'all are struggling with and how many times you've relapsed and share your experience because I know we've all had the same experience. All right, this is Dark Warrior. Peace.